It's one of the best-known works of the 20th century as a Pulitzer Prize winning novel and an Oscar-winning movie. Now the Southeast Texas theatrical group Act 1, Scene 1 will bring to life the story of To Kill a Mockingbird. Tom Wright joins us live from the First Christian Church in Port Arthur with more. Tom?
Thanks a lot, Kelly. It's one of those stories, maybe you had to read in school, but if you've ever revisited either the story or the movie as an adult and not as a child, you realize the impact of that story. And, of course, this is the theatrical production with this Roxanne Gray, who's the director of the show. And it's just one of those endearing stories that, and if you haven't visited it in a while, it's one of those things, it's a real treat to be able to go back and kind of absorb it again.
It really is. And you have a different perspective, I think, the older that we get, and we revisit that story. That it's a very different story than the one that we read in high school.
Yeah.
It seems to hit a little bit more home, and we can identify a lot more. But it is a classic, and if you're familiar with the film with Gregory Peck, this adaptation really hits home to those messages that Atticus Finch gave to his children and his daughter Scout, who looked at her father through a child's eyes, and as a grown woman is able now to appreciate her father and having learned those lessons that he taught them.
One of the things you have to do in the show is you have to have a scout, which is a huge role, and it's a child role, and there's a couple other children in as well. So finding those actors, was that difficult?
It was. We were a little afraid. Those were the actors we were afraid we weren't going to get, but we did, and I'll tell you what, we have got a fantastic scout for you. She's just unbelievable.
Well, I'll tell you what, we have a scene here. Do we need to set this up? This is the beginning of the show,
Yes, this is the beginning of the show where Jean Louise Finch, as a grown woman, looks back on herself as a little girl and reminisces about her father.
All right, let's take a look. To Kill a Mockingbird.
Scout? Where are you, Scout? Scout, you come in here.
My name is Jean Louise, but back when I was that young girl there on the swing, they called me Scout.
Scout, do you hear me?
I'm watching for Atticus.
Atticus, that was our father. We thought he was ancient, feeble. He was so much older than the parents of our school contemporaries, and there wasn't anything that we could say about him.
Because he doesn't do anything. Atticus doesn't drive a junk truck for the county, he isn't sheriff, he doesn't farm or work in a garage or anything worth mentioning. Other fathers go hunting, play poker, and fish. Atticus works in an office and he reads.
It was back in Macomb, Alabama, back in 1935, when I was that little girl, back when ugly words were first shouted at us. But that's not what I want to remember. That's not why my mind came back. There's something I have to do, something my father wanted. Perhaps enough time has gone back now that I can do that. The one thing my father wanted, he gave us some air rifles, and he said, never to kill a mockingbird.
All right, the show opens a week from this Friday and runs that weekend, Friday, Saturday, and matinee on Sunday. To Kill a Mockingbird, classic story here at the First Christian Church in Port Arthur. Kelly, back to you.
Thanks, Tom.